Hi everyone, I'm Jenny with The Artistry, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a fabric pumpkin. I went and purchased fabric from my local fabric store, and I bought about 3/4 of a yard each. I went and bought, this is a polyester fabric that kind of has this satin feel to it. And then I also bought this netting that has glitter on it, but you can use any fabric you like. You don't need to get this extra fabric. I only got this because it's got glitter, and I feel like it's gonna add it adds an extra layer of glitter to your pumpkin, which I really liked. You can also buy a spray-on glitter if you wanted that glitter. The first thing I did is I cut out this round circle from my brown paper bag to use as a template. Now you don't need to do this. I only did this because I'm making multiple pumpkins. If you're only making one or two, you can just cut out the circles from your fabric. Next, what I have done is I have taken both my fabrics and I've laid them out. This is that sheer fabric with the glitter, and this is my satin fabric. I have the right side laying down, and so I'm looking at the wrong side here. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to match them up and make sure that they're laying completely flat. Then I am going to take my template and lay it across. And I'm going to start pinning down my template all along the sides. I have my template pinned down onto my fabric, and I am going to take my scissors and cut and follow that line all the way around and cut out the circle. I have cut out my circle, and now I am going to remove my template. Because I'm using two fabrics, I am going to need to pin around the entire cutout circle to hold the two fabrics in place now. So I have my circle pinned, and if you're going to be sewing by hand, you will take your needle and thread and just start sewing and weaving back and forth. Along the edges. You basically just want to weave at the edges of your circle, and when you're all done, what you're going to do is pull that thread. When you get to the other side, you will pull that thread, and it's going to gather the edge of your fabric. Another option is to just use your sewing machine, and I'm going to set my stitch length to the longest length, and I'm going to sew all along the edge of my fabric and provide about a half inch seam allowance. Make sure not to reverse stitch when you start. You just want to start stitching. So I've come around full circle all the way to where I first started sewing. I'm not going to back stitch or reverse stitch. I'm just going to pull that out and leave a little thread. Here is where I started sewing, and as you can see, I left some extra thread hanging. And there's going to be one thread on the inside and one thread on the out. You want to just grab one of those threads and start pulling. And it's going to bunch up the fabric. Continue doing this throughout the edge of your fabric, all the way around. As you're pulling your thread and fabric, if for some reason you feel like you can't continue pushing this fabric any further, or if your thread happens to snap, you can always start on the other side. Find that thread where you ended or started and start pulling on the other side. Before you close up the bag, you want to start filling it. I'm taking my beans first, and I'm going to just put some at the bottom. Doesn't need to be a whole lot. Next, I am going to take my stuffing and I'm going to stuff the rest of this pumpkin as much as I can. I have my pumpkin stuffed and I want to start pulling that thread so my pumpkin closes up. And at the same time, I want to be kind of pushing in the edges of this pumpkin. And get it to the point where it's almost closed. I'm going to put a knot here so it stops moving. I've been sewing along this top here, just trying to get the opening closed a little bit more. So I'm just taking pieces from here and there and getting that as closed up as much as possible. I want to look at the shape of my pumpkin. I feel like it needs a little bit more stuffing right there. So I'm going to take some stuffing and just stuff that spot that seems like it needs a little more there. I've stuffed my pumpkin to my liking, and now I sewed around so it's almost closed there, and then I sewed backwards once to try to keep the stitch in place. And I'm just sewing back and forth to keep the stitch in place and creating a knot here. Next, what you want to do before you close it up is you want to take your needle and thread, and I had to re-thread my needle because I didn't, unfortunately. I should have cut a longer piece of thread when I was doing this, but I tied a knot at the end of it. And then I'm going to take my needle and put it right through the middle there and push it all the way to the other side. And you want to get it towards the middle of the other side. So here is my needle on the other side. I'm just going to pull that through. And then put it right through, kind of close to where you took it out. So you're going to push that right back in through the middle there. And don't go exactly where you came out of, but then push it back through the middle, through the front here. So I was able to grab my needle, pull it through tighten it a little bit, and that creates this little dimple on the other side. And then what you'd want to do is just want to sew it to the opening here. Next, I'm going to take my green felt and I'm going to use my disappearing ink, and I'm just going to draw my leaf to go on my pumpkin. And I'm going to leave a long stem. So that's my pumpkin leaf, and I am just going to cut it out. I have my pumpkin leaf here, and the reason I left this long stem is because I wanted to twirl it once around. I've got my hot glue gun going, and so I'm going to put a little glue right here and then just twist this and glue that right there. A little hot glue here, and I'm going to twist this. And it's just going to create a little twist in my leaf. And then I'm going to put some hot glue on the end. And glue it to the side of my pumpkin. Then I'm going to take my cork and I'm going to put glue all along here and also on the inside of this. So, and on the bottom, I usually think I might not need to put it on the inside of the, and just slowly put that in there. Don't put it all the way down, I want it to stick out a little bit. I am done with my pumpkin. I'm happy with it. I feel like it's gonna match well with my other pumpkin. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up.